Feels a bit like deja vu. The Guardians had another doubleheader. I have never recalled so many doubleheaders in my life. We're going to get into both games today. We're going to discuss what a Franmil Reyes trade could look like, as the rumors are out there, on today's episode of Locked On Guardians.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by Blue Nile. Make your moments sparkle with jewelry from BlueNile.com, and Locked On Sports listeners get $50 off purchases of $500 or more. This podcast exclusive includes engagement. Use code LOCKEDON at checkout. So this is actually my second recording of the day. I record for about an hour with the Locked On Rays guys. So if you want to hear me talk a lot about draft, you can go check out that podcast. I believe it'll post at the end of the week. And there will be some bonus podcasts this week here on this channel with the draft around the corner. So that'll be a chance for you to hear a little bit more about the draft and prepare, but still getting all the daily Cleveland Guardians content that you're used to. For those who don't know me, my name is Jeff Ellis. I've been the host of Locked On Guardians since the MLB side of Locked On existed, approaching 800 episodes now, sitting in this chair. Before that, I was a lead draft and prospect analyst at Scout 24/7, and before that, I wrote an Indians Baseball Insider, in all the way back to Indians Prospect Insider, with my work and quotes from me appearing on any Cleveland sports blog that talked about the Guardians and minor league prospects. I want to thank you for making Locked On Guardians your first listen today and every day, wherever it is you get podcasts. So that's right now this game, if you want to sync it up. I don't know if that's really a thing anyone does, but Andres Jimenez is up. It's a 1-2 count in the 7th inning. So I'm a little bit conflicted on this one. Listen, we're going to go back and talk about first game of this one in a moment here, but I keep going back to the 6th inning because you get the bases loaded thanks to the double, the wild pitch, and then a walk to Miller and a walk to Call. And then you leave in Luke Maile. You leave in Maile when you see, this is where I get. So we talk about high leverage situations for relievers all the time, right? This was a high leverage situation for the Guardians, and they had in a guy who, I went through and I wrote this down beforehand, is 57th worst hitter in baseball this year statistically. He is not, there's two players worse, one being the other catcher, Austin Hedges, who's the 6th worst hitter in baseball this year. All of this is minimum 90 plate appearances, and Ernie Clement, who's 29th. By the way, you got 2 of those guys in the lineup today. So, in this one. But I know Hedges already caught game 1. I also know he had a lot of time off in there with the concussion, which, it is time off and isn't, because when you have a concussion, it makes it hard for you to rest. It makes it hard to do anything when you have a bad concussion. But still, it's a situation where I don't even think it would have crossed Tito's mind, but I strongly consider pinch hitting there. They go out and bring in Reynaldo Lopez, bring in the righty. I mean, they already had the righty. Dylan Cease is a righty anyways. But, you got Nolan Jones on the bench, right? The rookie sensation who's been just destroying baseballs. He's sitting there, not playing in this one. You're telling me Hedges couldn't... I mean, it's not ideal. I get that. But Hedges can't come in and catch the last 3 innings of this one. You got Rosario on the bench, which, again, against a killer righty is the right call. But, I mean, he's a better performer. It's a weird lineup in this one today, let's just be honest, in the second part of this doubleheader. When you got Franmil in the outfield, Call is playing center, and I guess it's not that weird. It's just I'm not used to seeing Straw on the bench. When I see Straw and Rosario on the bench, it's just a lot of guys getting rest in this one. And Straw's been playing better of late, but I don't know. I feel like we shouldn't just run through the lineup because it's a 6th inning. You have a chance to make a dent. You are down 4-0. You need to get runs. Bases are loaded. That's leaving a guy who's not going to do it. That's just not for me. But enough about that. Let's move on to game 1, a 4-1 affair. Shane Bieber, first complete game of the year for the Cleveland Guardians. That's right, first complete game. And he did it on only 95 pitches. So I believe, Jason Lukehart, who is a Guardians fan and writer, invented the Maddux. And I believe a Maddux is a complete game under 100 pitches. So I could have that wrong, but I believe that is not just a complete game, but also a Maddux, which in some regards I think is even rarer than like a no-hitter. Have to look at the details there. But it's one of those things that, named for Greg Maddux. But yeah, it's a cool thing because it's part of the vernacular now. And it's something that a Cleveland writer invented. So credit to Jason. I probably said his last name wrong because I say everything wrong. But yeah, what a performance. Bieber, 9 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 7 strikeouts. I had a listener tell me, like, why is Bieber not getting talked about as a snub? Why is Bieber not in the All-Star game? And he has got a really good point here. Like, Shane Bieber has been utterly spectacular for the most part this year. Statistically, I'm trying to give this person their credit, but it's like he's third best American League pitcher by FIP. He's top 3 by WAR. He has been really good this year for all of his struggles early on, for all of the ups and downs overall. Let's see, this was to at Blaze SNDRS, so like Sanders. His name is Sanders. He's 3rd in the AL in FIP and 4th in FWAR. And that was before the game today. And I agree. Yeah, you kind of don't think about it, but yeah, the Guardians legitimately had a case for Bieber being an all-star. So why isn't he? One, like Texas needed a representative. That's Martin Perez. Detroit needed a representative. That's Soto. Oakland needed a representative. That's Blackburn. A lot of the only representatives for the Guardians in this one, or for the other teams in the All-Star game, were pitchers. So that's why Shane Bieber's out. But I think we're not probably giving Shane enough credit for what he's done this year, how he's playing. I've probably been a little unfair as well, if I'm being honest. But he's 3rd best pitcher in the American League by FIP, 4th best by WAR, and threw an absolute gem today in the first game of this series. To continue on, who reached base, twice in a game, as I go through and do. We have we talk about the weirdest intentional walk. I've never seen an 0-1 intentional walk. Yeah, he fouled it off. Let's put him on base. But hey, there was the hit batter, won by when Vaughn got drilled. In this one, I didn't expect, a retaliation just because that's not how Tito has ever done it. He has never been that guy who goes out and does that. And since it wasn't at the very start of the game, I don't think it was necessarily an issue. I don't think it was a retaliation. I think one probably got away from him. But for the Guardians reaching base twice, because you have the intentional walk to Jose, Quan and Rosario, Jose, who actually reached base 3 times, and then I believe that's it, right? Yep. Because they only managed 2 walks in general, 1 to Straw, 1 to Jose, and then also the intentional walk, so technically 3. They had 8 hits, 3 walks, that's 11 opportunities. 4 runs is, a little bit high for that, but pretty good. It's really good to consider that they only had 2 extra base hits, both doubles by Rosario. The other side of things, Chicago, I was trying to say Mustard there. Mustard, all of 3 hits, and then had the hit batter. So they had 4 opportunities, 1 run. That's about right as well. So all in all, it is a box score that makes sense. It is a good win. Puts the Guardians a game over 500. Right now looking like they will unfortunately slip back. We'll talk about the second game in segment 2 of the show. But let's give our 3 stars. Well, I think it's pretty easy. Bieber, with that performance, yeah. Rosario, the only 2 extra base hits and a multi-hit game, yeah. And it just comes down to the one part where you can, try to figure this out is Jose Ramirez reached base 3 times. Quan reached base twice, but they were 2 hits. Do 2 hits have more value than 3 times reaching base? I think in this one, I'm going to say yes. And I'm going to give the advantage to Jose. In this one, my only other real complaint is I don't know what's going on with Owen Miller dropping baseballs. It's just he can't seem to catch these pop-ups. It's really weird. It's also the first time since Nolan Jones has been called up. He had an 0 for 3 with a strikeout. Also, the first time he's not the player, one of our 3 stars in one of these. So it's going to happen. He's going to cool down. It is nice, though, how we've seen so many young guys just step right in and perform. But right now, he's not going to hit 438 as much as I would love him to. He is not. We're going to take our first break, come back and talk about the second game, which is currently ongoing. I may not know much about jewelry, but what I know about jewelry is you want it to be something original. You want it to be something different. You don't want to buy someone something that they then see someone else carrying or wearing, I should say, the exact same thing. And when it comes to original, unique, beautiful jewelry, Blue Nile is the company to go check out. And not only is it just a fantastic product, how about the fact that they have 24/7 customers waiting, customer assistants waiting to help you, jewelry experts on hand, available via phone or chat to help you find that memorable gift at every budget. They have online tools that help you find exactly what you're looking for. It doesn't matter if you're looking for fine jewelry, it doesn't matter if you're looking for engagement. You're going to find what you need through BlueNile.com. And make your moments sparkle with jewelry from BlueNile.com, and Locked On Sports listeners get $50 off of purchases of 500 or more. This podcast exclusive includes engagement. Use the code Locked On. That's code Locked On. Plus every order is insured, ships free, and arrives in discreet packaging that won't give away what's inside. Shop stress-free and find your forever piece. Go to BlueNile.com today. Ongoing game. So, in the second part of this doubleheader here, it's, again, not looking too great. The Guardians are currently losing 4-0. Ooh, I mean, that was a nice pitch by Karinchak. Or Karinchak, that I almost thought was going to hit him. Like, that was so up and in, but he got the guy to go. And this is, again, if he can get to anywhere near where he used to be, this is, I'm not going to say probably, this is the best outing he's had in, I guess, not putting qualifiers. This is his best outing in a year. He is currently at 1 2/3 innings, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts, and that was a nasty pitch there for that third strikeout. Like I said, I thought it was riding in and was going to hit the batter, and instead it was riding in, and he got him to swing over the top for Pollock there. So in this game, Pilkington didn't pitch badly facing his old team. And by the way, there is a humor in this one that they started Call and Pilkington, right? The two guys that got, that was a nice one there at 81. Like, just, you think that throws the batter. It's a great pitch. And that's like when things are going, Karinchak can be, such a strong reliever. And right there we go. 2 strong innings for him. I don't know if anyone saw the piece with Nolan Jones talking about how he helped him out. Like, okay, no matter what your views are, and, I know there's a lot of people that just dislike Karinchak because of his views. When he is on, he was electric. He was a lot of fun. And, I mean, it sounds like he was a great teammate. Like, Nolan Jones gives him credit for helping get things together after his own struggles with injury. So good teammate as well. And again, even with all of his struggles this year, I wanted him to stay up in Cleveland because we got to see what you have. You're going to have to make a hard decision at the end of this year on him one way or another. Might as well keep him in town. And again, his best pitching performance in a calendar year so far tonight. But Pilkington, not bad. 5 innings, 6 hits, 4 runs, 3 earned, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts, the 2 home runs. Again, for a guy who's been so up and down this year, has been the kind of go-to 6 starter, you take it. Good for Pilkington there. Nick Sandlin, another strong performance. Like, you look at this team right now, if Sandlin and 99 can keep it going, I mean, listen, heading into last year, there was a point in time where it went Clase, 99, Sandlin. That was your 7, 8, 9. We've had the struggles this year with Morgan. Hedges has not been good over his last few games, but you add in these two, all of a sudden that bullpen is locked in. I feel very good about it, and you're not even probably looking to acquire any arms just because of the internal depth in the system. If these two can turn around, and this is you don't want to take an encouraging thing, you want to take a positive from this game right now. Even if they lose, the positive is this is 3 strong outings for Sandlin in a row. And I don't know if he walked anyone through those, and that's huge for a guy who, when he got sent down, had the highest walk per 9 of anyone in baseball. And then, again, 99, he was so good. He was so good. And then he wasn't. And the sticky stuff and the mental side of it, and it all got away from him. If these two guys can get it together, Guardians' bullpen is going to be deadly. It's going to be one of the best ones in baseball, and I'll stand by that. Now we've talked about the positive. The negative in this one, they managed 6 hits so far in this one, and they also had 3 walks. They had 9 opportunities. It's just been scattered. Andres has the 0-4. Jose has 2 hits by Quan. Miller, who I've been, he's still the 50th worst batter in baseball since May 1st. Let's just be honest about that. He is still low on that, and that's part of the problem right here, right? Like, Franmil and Naylor both have 0-4s as well, and then you got Miller, who we've discussed has really struggled since May 1st. Call, is that his first start as a major leaguer? Maile, who we already talked about, and then Ernie Clement, who is second worst hitter on this team throughout the course of this year and a 29th worst hitter in all of baseball this year. So that's a rough lineup. It just is. And the White Sox aren't sitting there throwing their 6th starter. They're throwing Dylan Cease, who's been their top starter this year in this one. The Guardians just couldn't get anything together. Their best opportunities in the 3rd inning, I believe it was. Let me just double check this here. I thought it was the 3rd where they got guys. So you had the Maile strikeout, and then, credit to Clement, single. Quan, single. Then you got Andres strikeout, Jose pop out. And then we already talked about what happened in the 6th, where, again, I would have been very tempted. I'd have been very tempted, would be the correct word there. I'd have been tempted, and there's Naylor. I can tell you right now, having done the White Sox podcast over the past week, that is the guy that they fear the most in this lineup. It feels like, outside of Jose, everyone fears Jose the most, but he just keeps hitting. Going back to this, though, looking at this game, that could be the point that this whole thing switches on. You're struggling to get runs across. They bring in a reliever, right-handed reliever. They can't pull him out. It's not like we can do this whole righty-lefty switcheroo thing. They're stuck. Bring in Nolan Jones in that situation. And I know someone's saying, oh, the rookie and, Hedges. I bring him in. The bases are loaded. If you want a chance to win this game, Luke Maile isn't your chance. And I know I already talked about it, but I'm just going to keep going with that, because that's where I feel like that was such a missed opportunity. You have to treat it like a high leverage situation. You can't do what they did and just send out a guy who's more than it's one of those things that has driven me a little batty over the last few weeks when they've had these opportunities where it is a high leverage situation for both teams. They're keeping out the guys who have been unproductive, who have not been strong, who are not your top performers, just because of depth issues or because it's too early to go get a pinch hitter. The beauty of having a DH is, you don't have to sit there and hold your hitters for when the pitcher comes up. You don't have to sit there and worry about juggling the lineup. That's exactly, if you got a deeper bench, go to it. Use those players in the high leverage situations. A pinch hitter, your bench batters should be used much like how you use a bullpen, to take advantage of a high leverage situation, to use a platoon advantage, Tito's favorite thing, to his advantage. And I really wish we were seeing that, but it's not going to happen. Let's be honest. It's going to keep being the starters play unless they're a young player, and then we're going to replace them. Did that get him? Kind of wish he leaned in, if I'm being honest right now. But then again, Franmil has been on fire of late, so maybe not as much. We're going to take our last break. We'll come back and see if something can change. And we're also going to talk about this idea of the Franmil trade. I talked about it on the show yesterday. It's kind of one of the hot rumors, so we're going to discuss it a little bit more. And then we're going to, with time permitting, check in on some of our minor league performers who have been making us stand up and pay attention and see who has continued to be, amongst the best producers in the Cleveland Guardians minor league system. BetOnline is your number one source for all of your betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's NHL playoffs and Major League Baseball. BetOnline is your continued source for all of your sports wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores. And BetOnline.net remains the best spot for all of your sports scores, podcasts, news this season. BetOnline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all of your favorite sports and events, including MMA, boxing, and golf. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline, where the game starts. Hey, we got a walk, so just like getting a hit batter, I got my wish. Well, this is the problem, right? So before we get into the Franmil of it all, this is the part of the lineup where things, do you have much hope? Now, Owen Miller has had a good game in this one. He's played a little bit better of late. I still think he's being overused a bit, if I'm being honest, but we'll have to see. But I don't have a lot of faith right now, if I'm being additionally honest. So let's talk a little bit about the DH position, something that is now universal in baseball. And if you go and you pull up and you look at Fangraphs, DH batting leaders, there's only 20 players who are DHs who meet the qualifying level and have at least a 100 runs created plus. And some of these guys aren't, really DHs, because you have in the top 10, you have Yordan Alvarez, who is a DH, but they also have Michael Brantley at 10 because he's played there some. That was great, Owen Miller. 3 straight pitches. And that third one wasn't even, it's not even close. He's swinging at one that almost could have not that far from catching you in the knee. So looks like maybe we're going to get the pinch hitter that I called for earlier. But again, so he's pinch hitting for call. So here's the problem now. This just shows the whole view of okay, well, we're going to pinch hit him, and then we're going to have Miles Straw obviously play center field. So you're going to lose 2 guys for 1, which why not just do it a spot ago? Why is this? They're not going to pinch hit Owen Miller because they're not going to, because Andres is already in the game and he is the only person, as is Clement, and they're not going to put Rosario at second. So Miller goes up and looks bad. Now we get Nolan Jones here to pinch hit. We'll see if he can do something, get a run across, make this a little bit of a tighter affair. It's just not something it's just something that should have been done earlier. That's all I'm going to say. We'll move on. But again, talk about this DH position. Number 3, for instance, Alejandro Kirk. He's mostly played catcher for Boston this year. Bryce Harper, it's only because he's been hurt. Byron Buxton. If we went through and really eliminated guys, Andrew Vaughn really hasn't DH'd that much. Christian Yelich, no, not really. It's all of a sudden you get what I'm saying, that this list of DHs who have been at least league average, Josh Donaldson, no, it's maybe 9 to 10 guys. Now, Wilson Contreras is 5th. We can just keep going. But instead of being 20 guys who've been league average or better, in terms of the everyday players at that position, it's been closer to 10. Now, Franmil Reyes does not have a 100 runs created plus right now. We should also point that out. But he has played a lot better. And with teams potentially looking for DHs, I don't think if they traded him, which you talked about on yesterday's show, why that is a rumor that I'm inclined to believe. I don't think they're going to trade him for a bunch of prospects. Now, it is interesting looking around the league. Right now, by the way, if you go check out Tampa, because that's one of the teams I was looking at, it's Cleveland South. Francisco Mejia started half their games at catcher this week. Harold Ramirez DH'd 2 games, played 2 games in the outfield. Yandy Diaz is playing every single day, their third base or DH. And they claimed Yu Chen Chang when the Pirates let him go. So it is Cleveland South. That is also the most injured team in baseball. I did a count. I think they have 9 pitchers on the 60-day disabled list right now. 9. And that's not counting 2 more batters who are out. They have, I believe, double-digit people on the 60-day DL. It is unreal. That is one beat-up team. I don't think they're necessarily going to trade for Franmil because they more need someone. Nolan Jones is trying to go for 15 runs in one swing there. We'll see how this turns out. But, yeah, you can get why they're going out and making trades for someone like Christian Bettencourt and making some minor moves. It's another strikeout there. Yeah, it's going to happen. Jones is going to strike out a bunch. Well, it's, bringing in Ahmed now for Maile. Again, what? So we're doing it now with 2 outs and runners on first and second because it's the 8th inning. But if you do it in the 6th, you actually had a better opportunity to come back and get things done. You had a better opportunity, and it's just lateness of the game. And again, I'm going to let it go. I'm sorry. So going around baseball, part of me wonders, honestly, if the team that would make the most sense if you're trying to get pitching, if you consider shopping Franmil Reyes, would be the San Diego Padres. His old team, right? Because, 1, they have pitching for days. They have acquired so much starting pitching, it's coming out the ears. 2, They have had outfield needs for forever. Their current DH, Luke Voigt, could easily move to first base, and they're kind of stuck with Hosmer, but he is not good at all on any level. I don't know what they can do with him. The rumor at one point in time was that they were trying to attach him to a massive prospect to get another team. It was, from the minute he signed, we knew that was a terrible contract. He's not opting out at the end of the year at all. I guess he's got a 102. He's not terrible, but he's making a lot of money to be league average while being a bad defender. So glue him to your bench, make your team better. When you talk about right now, like San Diego has 6 starters, and Musgrove, Snell, Darvish, Gore, Manea, and Clevenger. Would they consider shopping someone like Blake Snell? I mean, I've seen that rumor as well. Could you figure out a deal for Franmil and Snell? Potentially. There are those pieces in here that kind of make sense. If Cleveland is looking to add, nice hustle on that one down the line by Ahmed. Really nice hustle. Stephen Kwan has been arguably their best hitter today in terms of contact rates, so things are getting fun. But imagine if he had done that when the bases were loaded. Just going to keep harping like I do. I think, I ask people if I brag too much. Sorry to Mr. Writer. I'm blanking on your first name. You are in the minority. But I think it might be more things like this where I talk about something for the 6th time in a row on a podcast because I get annoyed and can't let go. But yeah, looking at this team, it's like that might make sense. This might be what Cleveland looks to do if they move him. Now, I'll still say that if you move him, you don't have any right-handed bats. So you got to figure something out. But I think that the whole, I don't know, what was said in that Terry Pluto piece makes me think that he is indeed a shoppable piece. And I get it. If they feel like they have given him 3 years in a row and he refuses to report to camp in shape every single year, oh, that's right. No, it's Ernie Clement up. And of course we leave Clement, one of the worst. See, because here's what's happening. You look at the Guardians bench. You got Hedges and Straw. And yeah, Clement's out. Thumbs up. I mean, that's, the most likely outcome. What are you going to... Because now they're going to, move Hedges to catcher. They're going to move Straw to center. They can't sit there and, with the way the outfield, I mean, could you conceivably flipped? It's like without losing the DH. But I mean, honestly, it's one of those things where just lose the DH. Like, you're likely nothing's going to happen. Likely you're not going to get those opportunities. It's not going to, if this game goes into extras because you lost the DH, great. You'll deal with it. But letting, doing all of that to let Clement hit a high leverage situation, let's let, it's roster construction on a basic level, but it's because it's the guys Tito wants. Like, you could very clearly see in that quote from yesterday that, like, he was pissed about Mercado. He didn't want Call. If they tried to, like, the only way that Clement isn't on this roster is if they take him away from Tito. And it's unfortunate because, again, I think he is a major league player. I think he's a good clubhouse guy. I think he does a lot of things well. Tito trusts him in situations like that, which is a problem. Catcher is also just a black hole of offensive production. It's frustrating. We're probably going to lose this one. We're going to end the show here in a second, but prospect stuff will get moved to tomorrow. I said it was if time permits. You do all of that, get the bases loaded again, and then you leave up again the 26th worst hitter in baseball this year. The only hitter worse than him statistically through this season on the Cleveland Guardians team is Austin Hedges. Straw has been playing well of late. I'd rather see Straw in that situation. And again, if I lose the DH, I lose the DH because more than likely it's probably not going to turn into anything. But I would rather have that opportunity than not. Because, I don't know, I just don't see it coming along here. But yeah, I mean, now you got the situation where, oh no, so they shifted the outfield anyways. So you got Quan in center, Reyes. So you still have Straw. So why wouldn't you let Straw hit, who's been playing very well of late, who like over his last 10 games is hitting over 400, to leave in Ernie Clement? I'm waiting. Like, explain that one to me. Explain to me in that situation why you leave in one of the worst hitters in baseball. Statistically. This isn't like objectively. This is statistically. This is data-driven. One of the worst hitters in baseball. Instead of bringing in a guy who's been hot in his last 10 games to hit with the bases loaded. 2 times in a row. Not 2 times in a row. Twice in this game, Guardians got the bases loaded and then did not pinch hit for one of the worst hitters in baseball. Twice. And they're losing 4-0. And there could be a reason for that. I don't get it. I don't understand. I don't. It's just, it is totally down to, you can just very easily see. I mean, okay, so in the 6th inning, at least I'm like, okay, it's early on. Like, that's me being aggressive and talking about a high leverage situation. That's not for everyone. Most managers probably wouldn't do what I'm asking Tito to do in that situation. I understand that. You know, it's not ideal. A lot of the new age ones would certainly jump in that and know that like AJ Hinch is definitely pulling the trigger there. At the same time, to sit there in last inning and to not do that when you have the bases loaded, to leave in your second worst hitter when you have a hot bat riding on the bench is, and I know what you're saying, you know, who's going to play third then? Well, if you're just going to move everyone around, put Nolan at third. We're not taking the DH away in that case. Nolan Jones came up as a third baseman. Straw can still play in the outfield. You know, there's a way to make that all work and not leave Ernie Clement in the game. I've been Jeff Ellis. This has been Locked On Guardians podcast for this week. Remember to rate and review, download daily. It helps. Subscribe on YouTube. I don't care if you mute me, at least subscribe. Let's get those subscription numbers. We're approaching 400 up. Again, stay tuned. Probably not tomorrow because I don't think I'm going to have time, but we will have a lot of draft-based things. If you want to go check out my my very poorly made blog, mlbdraftnow.blogspot.com. That's my top 52 draft prospects. And you can, see I am bonkers. I think very differently than everyone else, and I accept that. Again, I've been Jeff Ellis. Follow me on Twitter at JeffMLBDraft. Hit me up with questions I can use on the show. Ideas, comments, complaints. I listen to you guys. I've quoted bad reviews, what people take. I've also said the positives, trying to always make this show better and make it so the fans always feel like a part of it. It is, you have some ownership. And as I end every show, go Guardians, go.